Do I not always tell you that we have the wittiest and most amusing people who follow this show? Because check this out. Ajinkya Walke says, finally we had 5 days of test match play in Ahmedabad. Alas, it was spread over 2 test matches. That's why I love the people who watch this show, Bharat.
I know it took 2 days with a pink ball, 3 days with a red ball to constitute a test match or what should have been a test match. But the race to the World Test Championships is over. So is good, bad, ridiculous for now.
Oh, let's not get there yet. We still got one more show to go, so let's roll the bumper. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final show of Good, Bad, Ridiculous for the series. Who knew that it would come so soon? Well, there were probably a few signs. It was fairly obvious at the start of the day today anyway. But let's get straight into your nominations for Bharat Sundaresan and myself. We have Srini nominates the way Washi is batting. Why not try him as an opener? Looks most assured and compact, plus left-right combination. I think that goes in the good category, Bharat.
It does. I think Washington Sundar is going to provide a lot of heartbreaks for a lot of domestic batsmen in India, because they're going to look at it and say, this is someone who's not played first-class cricket or Ranji Trophy cricket for 4 years. And now he is a threat because he just keeps scoring runs, 85 not out, 96 not out today, and all those runs he scored at the Gabba. He's such a difficult player to classify. He is just a batsman. He's going the Ravi Shastri way. He's headed in that direction towards the top of the order. But if he keeps his place and some others who scored thousands of runs in first class cricket don't, like I said, a lot of heartbreak coming up.
Yeah, well, what about the fact that it makes me laugh that you and I were like gunning for Bumrah to go the Ravi Shastri way when he was batting well in that trial match in Australia. But I do think you're right. I don't think we know yet just what kind of player Washington Sundar is. I really don't. And I know people sort of made the joke about Steve Smith and the way Steve Smith developed, but it could be that with Washington. We just don't know. He could end up being, a really well-rounded spinner who ends up batting a bit, but he could end up becoming primarily a batter. He could end up opening. Who knows? Like at the moment, no limits on him at the moment, and I think that makes him a really fascinating cricketer to watch, because to see a number 8 do that today, it's like everything we've seen him do. It's just it's really fascinating to watch. There's another one on the theme of Washington Sundar from Sar Caustic, who says, can we have a heartbreak category today for Washi missing on a well-deserved century? Bad will simply not do for this one. The second time in the series, the elusive century hasn't come about. We do get a bit caught up by that magical century, don't we? And it always comes up later when it's like, well, he's only made this many centuries or this many half centuries, and without looking at the context of it, it would have been really nice for him to be able to raise a bat. But yes, we also do get a bit too caught up with it sometimes, I think, in cricket.
Oh, we do. And some 90s get remembered a lot more than centuries. This could end up being one because there were so many people willing him on, just trying to get him over the line, except the Indian lower order, that is. But I think this 96 not out will be remembered for a long time. What I was hoping for, I just hope Ajit Agarkar and Deep Das Gupta would be in the commentary box together when he gets there. Both of them got their only test hundreds against England. So, just some poetic connection somewhere. Cricket nerd alert.
Yeah, well, oh, really? I hadn't noticed. Now, Venkat Krishna nominates questions of, and I think this is bad. Yeah, this is bad. Questions of the England management should be asked. Always a tough trip for England, tough pitches for them to negotiate. However, the rotation and the timing of it, and those involved, handling of Ali, treatment of Bess, the bowling makeup of the side, last 2 tests, bad. Venkat, I think you've actually just summed up a load of the key points for why England underperformed. You are right. There were all those things we talked about. We've talked about that throughout this. I said last night the way that Dom Bess had been managed, I thought was really problematic. We've talked about Moeen Ali earlier on in the series. a tough one with the rotation. You can understand it, but it may be problematic. But also, I think it also comes down to England on spin, how they navigate that and prioritise that at home on pitches, not playing when, in a way that encourages young spinners to come through and develop their talents. And they're going to find it really, 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 really hard to win in India. While ever that's the case, I think that's just I don't know how you can see it any other way.
Yeah, but it was so different when they won that first test when Chris Silverwood was being hailed as the best coach Joe Root could play under. I remember Nick Knight talking about how different it was with Trevor Bayliss and this pressure on playing quickly here. The whole focus is on England getting big scores, which they did. This is the new era of English cricket, but that's how cricket is. Like generally the narrative, not so much about the players, but the coaching staff, the people in the background depends a lot on how the results go on the field, and there's little they can do to control it. But for me, the most disappointing thing was just the lack of the way they started capitulating the batsmen. I thought the bowlers, regardless of who was picked and who was dropped, kept them alive in the series. But it's something we've seen with English teams historically. Rarely will you see an Australian or a New Zealand team come to the subcontinent and capitulate the way England do once things start going against them. With England in Australia, it's not just losing, but it's just losing badly. And after having won that test match where this was being hailed as the new era of English cricket, tells you that how quickly they can just switch off.
Yeah, probably worth pointing out too that they did win that one test where they had a pitch for a couple of days that didn't really turn very much. Again, there might be something in that. Call me crazy, many people do. Now, we do have one that I've noticed a little bit earlier about Johnny Bairstow, and I know our wonderful producer Makundu is going to bring that up about Johnny Bairstow and the fact that he has scored 6 ducks in 9 innings. There it is from Abhijit Gar. Abhijit Gar. Okay, sorry, I do try to get them right. Bad Johnny Bairstow, 6 ducks in 9 innings. There are a lot of media comments being made already about Johnny Bairstow, and I mean, I do feel a little bit sorry for him because I don't think. We don't know if that trip home would have helped him or not. We can't say that for sure one way or the other because we don't know. But it may not have been helpful. So there's that mitigating factor. He, gone okay since then. He has a really bad record against India all up. He really does. He struggles against India. So that may play a part in selectors' minds when they get back to England, seeing as India is the next test series. So, I'm certainly not going to say that's the end of Johnny Bairstow's career because I don't think it is the end of his career, but it's not helped him. And I think there might be some maybe leeway given because of the whole disruption to it. So we'll see, but yeah, bad.
Very bad. I mean, 3 times he was out of the first ball? I mean, one time he got a reprieve and then he was out of the second ball. So it's been a series to forget for Johnny Bairstow. And also it tells you maybe, especially people in England, should hold off on their whole judgment of best player against spin, good player against spin, before they come and succeed in India. It's very different. And there's no offense to the spinners in Sri Lanka, but those pitches are different. I mean, they don't bite and they don't have that grip. But I'm not talking about rank turners here, just general pitches in India. So it's when you don't have to deal with that bounce. Joe Root scored the double hundred, classy double hundred. But once the ball started bouncing, which I had told you at the start of the series, it's a totally different challenge. So let's just hold off on the whole hype around how good someone is against spin till they succeed in India. It's the same when you talk about batsmen playing well against this moving ball. You don't make that judgment call till they score runs in England, right? So let's just wait and calm down. And it doesn't look good for Johnny Bairstow at the moment, considering they're going to play against India a lot this year.
Yeah, albeit in very different conditions. Now, I can see one from Amit Kumar, which ties in with our next one. He says, ridiculous. Virat hitting Joe on the box with an unnecessary throw. ouch. And we also had one on Twitter from Nishith saying, ridiculous, Kohli's unnecessary throw at the stumps, putting the future of the Root dynasty at risk. I mean, I can't actually empathise with that at all. I've been told it hurts. It's maybe it just sort of represents a metaphor for the whole series, really, in basically getting him where it hurts and kicking a man while he's down, almost literally in the knackers.
I think I was 15 when it happened to me for the first time. I was at short leg. I was used to bowl. I take the new balls. I rarely stood at short leg. It was the last ball of the day's play. Our captain, who used to bowl leg spin, asked me to stand at short leg. It was the last ball, so I just stood there without a guard on. And all I remember, Mel, is the ball leaving the leg spinner's hand. Not much I remember. The next thing I do recall is waking up in the tent, which used to be a dressing room in Shivaji Park. And there was this pain that I cannot describe, and I don't think you will understand. So, yeah, it does not feel good being hit there, especially without a guard on. At least Joe Root had a guard on. Was Virat Kohli going after Joe Root's dynasty? Maybe he was,
I think Joe Root was just playing for the turn.
Damn another batsman falling for the straight one.
Exactly. Yeah, see, that's what happens. That's what happens.
If it's not Joe Root, then it's his balls. Anyway.
Yeah. Now, Rohal nominates good. Pant's wicket-keeping skills. He deserves so much praise for his progress. I've seen another one here from Navanitha Kanan saying, very good Rishabh Pant's keeping throughout the series, especially against spin, because, of course, that's the thing. Rishabh Pant can't keep to spin, right?
I know, and I did feel a little bad for Riddhiman Saha, and Ashwin was raving about Rishabh Pant's keeping, purely because, where does Riddhiman Saha go now? And he's been such a team player since he came into the setup. But yeah, Rishabh Pant has been excellent behind the stumps. He see, that's the thing with Rishabh Pant. What we saw in Australia was he's working really hard on everything, whether it was fitness, his batting, and Ravi Shastri was candid about it. They actually walked up to him and said, lose some weight, take cricket more seriously, become more professional. And at times you need words of advice like that. I think something similar should happen with Prithvi Shaw in terms of he's already been given that message. So let's see how he comes back from that. But Rishabh Pant is now a great role model for people like Prithvi Shaw and so many others. So there's something about coming into international cricket early. But then there is something about realizing how professional you need to be at that level. And Rishabh Pant has done that with his keeping. I remember Kiran More used to say that he just doesn't put enough energy or put enough effort in his keeping a couple of years ago in 2018 after the England tour. But we speak so much about his batting, but his keeping has been a revelation. And the rise and rise of Rishabh.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Ashwin there because the number of faces Ashwin pulled in Australia when Rishabh Pant dropped a catch or missed a stumping, but great stumping by him today of Ollie Pope. Now, Diraj nominates Axar, took 27 wickets on his debut series and he didn't even play the first test. Ridiculous, 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 of course, in a good way. That is pretty amazing. We saw that Ashwin won the player of the series, but I don't think Axar, was that far behind him on the bowling front. Obviously, there was that century, but a terrific debut for him. And what competition. I saw that Jadeja was trending on Australian Twitter today. I noticed at one point he was trending above Axar Patel. So that just shows, people are looking at that, and it doesn't have to be an either or. Terrific debut. India are having a real year for unearthing new talent.
India outsources so much talent to the world in every other facet. Maybe the time has come. They can't play Jadeja and Axar Patel together. It's just they're just too like for like. And what happens to Ashwin then? So maybe they can have like a trade-off system. So when Jadeja is playing, Axar can go and play for someone else. I'm sure England won't mind Axar. And they can do a swap on and off. That's the only way. I see Axar Patel playing a lot of test matches because Jadeja is a superstar. He will come back. He's, in my book, the best all-rounder India has had in the last 20 years, alongside Ravichandran Ashwin, of course. But yeah, it's been a crazy series for Axar Patel. And injury kept him out of the first test. Who knows? Maybe he would have ended up with more wickets than Ashwin and ended up with the man of the series trophy. At least towards the end, he got to lift the trophy. So there you
Uh,
go. So
he was, you can't fault him for any of it. Now, Shuman Makar nominates as good. On-field umpiring was of absolute top class. Threw that one in for you. Overall, we have had moments where it was like, not sure about the process or this and that, but overall, I think that they did a pretty good job. There are a few moments, but sometimes they were to do with the third umpire as well, where you might have had a few disagreements. But overall, you're happy?
you're very happy. I mean, this is another, we're speaking about the rise of India as a cricketing nation on the field, the series win in Australia, the series win against England now. But this is another important facet because India have lacked international umpires for a long time. The amount of cricket that is played in India, the IPL, and so much domestic cricket, it's a shame that India haven't produced more international quality umpires, but I'm sure it's changing now. I really can't wait to see someone like Nitin Menon in an Ashes test, or we've had S. Ravi in the past, but Nitin Menon, Anil Chaudhary, even Virender Sharma, they've given a very, very good account of themselves, which is a good sign because till a few years ago, there was nobody really.
I just have to note that Siddharth Goyal has just said, like the stream, mofos. He just made me laugh. It cracked me up massively.
Thank you, Siddharth.
Yeah. Thanks. That cracked me up. Now, Urban Wanderer, good. Application shown by Lawrence. When you're looking, grasping at straws, but I think that actually was definitely something positive that England can take away from this. There won't be huge things I'll be feeling good about going back, but the way he played spin was actually really good. He was really patient off the back foot. He was able to cope with the extra bounce at times. He was patient. He was calm. I thought he was. I thought he was great. And at the end of the day, it was the middle order for England that stood up a few times, and the top order that just fell away each time. So for him, certainly that was possibly one of the brightest spots, I'd say for England. Jack Leach, I think, bowled pretty well all over, but Dan Lawrence, you get a big tick, mate, for that half century.
Yeah, in a series loss like this, you look for those kind of positives, right? Where a young person comes here, whether he's a batsman, a bowler, or a keeper, like Ben Folks, and they learn something. They start off not so well in a series and get better as the series goes on. So, like you said, Jack Leach, Dan Lawrence, and Ben Folks really take the mark there. Dan Lawrence looked really out of place after that first test. So he's come back strongly here, which is a good sign for English cricket. Like they need middle order batsmen who can play spin. They need to survive, forget win in the subcontinent.
And we did mention yesterday, I see Jeff really trying to get that in about Stokes bowling 10 plus overs on the trot, ridiculously good fitness. Yes, it was, but it shouldn't have had to happen. I think that's the point. And speaking of the point, brings us to our final one from Danny Franklin, who at the start of this said, what's the point? The start of this test. And now he asked, what was the point? The point was you were able to join us here and reflect on the day every day, as I'm sure you have, Danny. Look, it wasn't a great series, but it had its moments. And India, they've got lots of things to celebrate. Who knows what will happen next? What was the point? What's the point?
What was the point? Indeed, yeah. I mean, the point right now is all English fans and Australian fans and English cricketers and Australian cricketers can go ahead and click book on their travel plans. They don't have to wait anymore.
They don't. Now, who knows what happens? We don't have any more test match, good, bad, ridiculous for you. But we do have one more chance for Barrett to decide what was the goodest thing for you today.
Yeah, it has to be just this overall feel of India. After that Australia Test win, series win, there was talk of how India going to bounce back after that. Can they even do any better? And we saw them lose the first Test, which some of us expected them to, but they made bounce back ability a sexy word again, and they keep doing it over and over again. They come back really strongly, and like I said, we saw T. Natarajan lift the trophy at the Gabba. To see Axar Patel, another new star on the ranks, lift the trophy at the biggest stadium in the world. What can be better than that?
What was the baddest thing?
England just making a mockery of what should have been a very, very good series. And what I mean by that is like, how do you classify the series win? They did make India work hard, so it wasn't like a comprehensive, bashing that they've received. But if the batsmen had just stopped looking at the bloody pitch and like, just faced the ball, like, looked at the ball that was coming straight at them, like Joe Root should have today, but the ball was coming towards him. They could have made this a much better series, maybe even a classic series, but now it just ends up as a so-so series in my book.
Yeah, it had its moments, but yeah, I know what you mean. It had days when but that's what happens sometimes. What was the most ridiculousest thing for the day?
I'll tell you what it is, Mel.
Oh
Everybody's been
no.
talking about the pitches. What will I do? I'll come and talk about the curators. And that's what Ravi Shastri did. Like, this classic Ravi Shastri. Like, so much talk about pitches, good pitches, bad pitches. What does he do? You want me to say something? The curators done an excellent job. And, at the start of the Australia tour, not the Australia series, he'd spoken about, not officially in private, about how, this is the craziest, the most unique test period since the Second World War. I was waiting for him to use that expression. Finally, he's waited after winning against Australia, winning against England, and he did mention the Second World War today. For me, that was just ridiculously brilliant from the great Ravi Shastri.
Lead, bullets, lead, Second World War. That's it.
And today it was all bubble, bubble, bubble.
Bubble, bubble. I heard that as well. I was expecting it to become Shakespeare. Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. Something like that. Oh gosh, he never manages to be not entertaining. So that is a very good ridiculous thing to end on, a bit of Shakespearean Macbethian Ravi Shastri. Thank you so much.
Romeo and Ravi.
Thank you all so much for joining us. We've appreciated all of you. Honestly, we do love the fact that you come on here and contribute. Please do subscribe, because we won't finish here just because this series is over. We will have more things coming up through the years. So please give us a like and subscribe. Spread the word. Give us some of that stuff, that stuff that Bharat's got there. And watch out for what comes next on this channel. We will see you soon. Bye.